Opposite side castling creates one of the most exciting positions in chess. One king goes queenside, another one goes kingside. Now it's a race. What should we do? What's our plan? Attack, fast and hard. Let me show you how. Step 1. Launch a pawn storm. Start pushing your pawns on the side where your opponent castled. Step 2. Open files. Trade the pawns in order to open files toward the opponent's king. You are not worried about material, you want the access. Step 3. Bring all your pieces toward their king. The knights, the bishops, the rooks, especially your queen. Time is critical. One tempo lost can lose the race. Let's look at this position. The game was played by Capablanca and Yanovsky in 1914. They castled on opposite sides. So what's the plan here? White wants to push their pawns on b4, a4, b5, and black wants to push their pawns on g5, h5, h4, g4, etc. So white here moves b4. And black moves the knight on f7 in order to get the access with this pawn. a4, bishop takes the knight, rook takes, just exchange some pieces, and then white wants to move on b5 already, which is already dangerous. For instance, if black moves on h5, we push the pawn, and no matter what, we will trade some pawns. For instance, they take, we take, and it's better for them to close the position to prevent further trades. a5. But here white can do quite beautiful move, b6, to disconnect these pawns, and it will be much easier for white in future to attack and capture this pawn. For example, knight d5 and queen a5. So all the lines are open and we will get the access towards the black king that way. So that's why black has to push their pawn on b6. The thing is, after b5, which was played, black takes, white takes, and then black moves on a5, closing the position. And we don't have this beautiful b6 move which would disconnect the pawns. But anyway, white did it. They traded some pawns, which is already good, but still white cannot use their rooks very well or the queen on a file, because we actually cannot capture this pawn, right? It's defended. So that's why we need to push further, and we can push c4, then c5. For doing that, knight moves on d5, and then we move c4. To move the pawn on c5 in future, we need to defend it. So that's why at first white will do d4 move. But here let's calculate. On d4, black are attacking 3 times, yes, with 3 pieces. So we need to have 3 defenses. For that reason, queen moves on c3 to defend d4, and then rook moves on d1 to defend d4 again, and then eventually we can move d4. If white takes with a pawn, we will also take with a pawn. So that's why queen moves. And let's calculate c5 move here, right? We need to break through. But they have 3 attackers and we need to have 3 defenders. And we have only 2 at the moment. So that's why white moved on c2 with the rook. Then some trades were done. And after knight f4 move, we should be careful, because if the knight is on our side on the board, it can do some not pleasant moves for us. For instance, knight e2 fork could be done, but this square is already defended. And also in some occasions, knight can defend the queen, which moves on g2 and mate in the king, but the queen now is far from g2 square. So that's why we can just ignore this knight and move c5, which was planned. Knight takes the knight. If we take the queen now, knight will take the queen also. We'll take knight with the rook, and then they will take our pawn. So for that reason, to not overcomplicate things, white captured the knight back. Queen took the pawn, and then we can trade some pawns and open c-file and get the access for our queen and rook toward their king, but it's much better and easier to make a fork and to win the rook. Black resigned and white won this beautiful game. Why this attack was so fast and why black did nothing? Black had these pawns on a6 and c6, not on the 7th rank, so it's actually much easier and faster for us to move our pawns and trade them, right? So we need to do only 3 moves toward their pawns, and imagine if they were on a7 and c7 and there were no pawns on a6 and c6. We should have moved on b4, a4, b5, a5, b6, so we would need 5 moves at least. So that's why when we castled opposite sides, it's better not to rush pushing these pawns near our king, because if we do so, that's easier for the opponent to attack them. That's faster to attack them. Opposite castling is all about initiative. Whoever attacks first usually wins. So when you see it, don't hesitate, push forward and go for a win. Wishing you beautiful games.